3:24 a.m. The Strait of Hormuz shatters into a red alert. The Aegis radar sweeps the dark, detecting a storm of 47 targets shredding the waves at Mach 0.9. A swarm of drones and cruise missiles is screaming toward the heart of the US Navy. The clock is ticking a 94-second engagement window. A billion-dollar behemoth and thousands of sailors stand on the edge. Either the curtain of steel rises now, or they all become scrap metal. At the world's most volatile energy choke point, the cards are on the table and the opening gambit has just been made. The tension inside the Lincoln's Combat Direction Center has hit its absolute limit as Iran relentlessly tightens its tactical noose. Threatening to choke off 20% of global oil, the Lincoln sits right at the epicenter of a global economic powder keg. To put it in perspective, we're talking about 840,000 barrels of oil flowing through this choke point every single hour. If just one of those incoming ghosts hits its mark, gas prices in Los Angeles won't just rise. They will double by sunrise, and the billion-dollar Lincoln could end its mission as a heap of scrap metal on the ocean floor. But the real nightmare isn't just the sheer number of targets, it's the twisted creativity behind them. For the past 3 months, Houthi rebels have been silently preparing a poor man's apocalypse in the dark. Instead of stealth bombers, they are using commercial DJI drones modified into suicide assassins with 50-kilo warheads. This is a digital jailbreak of modern warfare, 3:28 a.m. They route these drones just like hackers trying to play cracked Free Fire on a cheap Android phone, using low-cost AI to bypass encrypted GPS locks. It's a $1,000 hack squaring off against a $13 billion giant. They are betting that this disposable swarm can overwhelm the world's most advanced integrated defense system, proving that in modern warfare, a smart hack can be just as lethal as a cruise missile. 3:30 a.m. The Aegis tactical display, usually a model of surgical precision, suddenly shatters into a chaotic smear of flickering red icons. The healthy drones have executed their first clever maneuver. They are hugging the massive steel hulls of 300-meter oil tankers, bleeding their radar signatures into these islands of steel. Lethal threats and neutral merchant ships merge into a single indistinguishable mass of pixels. The commander's hand hovers over the fire control frozen. A single missile hitting a neutral tanker would turn the Strait of Hormuz into a global political graveyard. GPS spoofing pulses continue to batter the fleet sensors, generating hundreds of ghost targets for every real drone. It's a digital hall of mirrors at Mach 0.9, forcing the US Navy to play a high-stakes game of who's who. The E-2D Hawkeye screams into a steep dive from its overhead station, slaving every sensor in the fleet to a single purified data stream through Link 16. The deception begins to fail. At the perimeter, F-35C Lightning II's bank hard. They're distributed aperture systems, ignoring the radar noise to lock onto the microscopic infrared glow of drone engines. These thermal signatures don't lie. Data pulses back to the Lincoln, and the Aegis AI begins scrubbing the battlefield in nanoseconds. One by one, the digital ghosts are stripped away like a hot knife through wax, leaving 47 cold, lethal threats illuminated clearly against the black backdrop of the ocean. 3:32 a.m. The Lincoln's port side erupts in a deafening roar of steam and fire. 2 FA-18 Super Hornets are violently slung into the night by the steam catapults, just 90 seconds from the initial alarm. Below them, the escorting destroyer's vertical launch cells blow their hatches in a series of synchronized explosions. RIM 162 Sea Sparrow missiles scream into the sky, their rocket motors lighting up the horizon for miles. It's a systematic harvest. Amayams shred the lead wave of the attack, turning $8,000 Android drones into a falling rain of plastic and burning fuel. The radar suddenly emits a new, desperate warning. The first wave was merely the bait. 3:35 a.m. The fleet's $12 billion nervous system doesn't just flicker, it explodes into white static. High-powered shore emitters have burned out every frequency band. Targets vanish into thin air. The Lincoln, a 100,000-ton giant, is now swinging arms blindly in a dark room full of knives. Houthi emitters drown out all radar efforts. This digital blizzard causes even the most modern sensors to lose orientation. 3:37 a.m. The EA-18G Growler banks into a sharp high-G turn, activating next-generation jammer pods. The electronic predator is now hunting in the dark. They don't just pulse, they glow with an invisible energy fury. A concentrated electronic counterattack sweeps straight at the shore emitters. The impact is instantaneous. The electronic screaming falls silent. It's as if the Growler just put noise-canceling headphones on the entire fleet, punching a hole of silence through the interference. restoring digital vision just as targets close in. Sensor fusion takes control. The F-35Cs transmit an unjammable 8K infrared stream. The battlefield is no longer a flickering radar screen. It is a high-definition destruction zone. Every target is marked in glowing red. Their paths are predicted with terrifying accuracy. The enemy is plunged into darkness, but for the Lincoln, the night has never been clearer. 18 targets are locked. The order to fire is now just a formality, 3:39 a.m. While the sky is a chaotic canvas of fire and static, a quieter, deadlier threat is creeping through the murky waters of the Strait of Hormuz. Two Goodyear-class submarines, supplied by Iran and stripped of markings, are silently closing in. They are moving ghosts, exploiting the acoustic shadow of the underwater mountain ranges. They are targeting the fleet's Achilles heel, waiting for an opening to deliver a fatal blow. They rely on the chaos above to conceal their movements, hiding within layers of silt and sand. But they have made a fatal mistake. They believe they are the only predators here. 3:40 a.m. At 30 meters, a Virginia-class attack submarine has been lying in wait, silent as a tomb. Inside, the sonar room is a space of suffocating concentration, illuminated by sensor pulses. While the Goodyear tried to stay silent, its diesel-electric engine still screeched like a beat-up wave motorcycle in the empty night. With the Virginia's advanced sonar arrays, they might as well have been holding a megaphone and screaming. The American submarine is the ultimate predator, operating with absolute silence and the smoothness of an Apple ecosystem. It doesn't just hear the enemy, it maps every mechanical pulse through the seabed mud, target locked. Before a single air bubble could rise to the surface, the Virginia-class submarine delivered a brutal surgical strike. The Godders hadn't even caught a glimpse of the hunter. The threat was neutralized in complete silence, proving that while the Houthis play with their noisy toys, the U.S. Navy moves like a Tesla Plaid, deadly electrified and completely inaudible. 3:42 a.m. The sky was nearly clear, but the nightmare wasn't over. The final 6 targets, the fastest and most advanced, suddenly dropped altitude, vanishing from long-range radar. They flew sea-skimming, gliding over the waves at Mach 0.9 to hide within the water's turbulence and saltwater spray. The Aegis system screeched its final warning. The outer ring destroyers were struggling. Due to jamming, the ESSM missiles lost lock and plunged into the sea. A suicide drone pierced the barrier, hurtling toward the Lincoln's command tower, target closing in. Prepare for impact. The alarm blared. Inside, lights flickered as power diverted to defense systems. The crew lay flat, clinging to the deck. This was the point of no return. At less than 1.5 kilometers, the CIWS system took absolute control. The Vulcan barrel whipped toward the horizon. Sounding like a giant chainsaw, a wall of tungsten bullets shattered the air at 4,500 rounds per minute. The first targets vaporized instantly. But the final target was too close. Inertia propelled it through the wall of bullets. The phalanx tore it apart just 150 meters from the ship's side. The explosion created a blazing orange sun. A shockwave slammed into the Lincoln, dragging fiery debris onto the deck. Thick black smoke engulfed the bridge, but the heart of the U.S. Navy still beat. 100% of targets destroyed in exactly 15 minutes. The Houthis intended an action movie maneuver, but the phalanx fires faster than an ex-lover turning on you. 4,500 rounds per minute. That's a steel laser clearing debris. 3:55 a.m. Smoke still clung to the hull. Inside the Combat Direction Center, the map shifted to the fiery red of the counter-strike order. 3:56 a.m., the U.S. Navy began its annihilation. From the Lincoln and escorting destroyers, dozens of Tomahawk missiles unleashed fire, illuminating the sea in a symphony of punishment. Above the clouds, P-8 Poseidon aircraft and military satellites pinpointed jamming stations that attempted to blind the fleet. This was a brutal brain surgery operation, striking directly at the enemy's command center and AI drone storage. The rebels lost all their equipment instantly. For the US, it was merely a high-intensity combat shift. This 15-minute battle safeguarded the flow of 840,000 barrels of oil per hour to the world. The US demonstrated the absolute superiority of a globally integrated silicon-powered system over individual weapons. 4,500 rounds per minute. That is the thin line between life and death at Hormuz. Would you trust the automatic firing system when the target is just a few hundred meters away? Comment below Octrats, Team Phalanx, or Team ESSM.